Okay, the hour being, let's say 5:07 p.m. I'm going to call this this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. We are awaiting a fifth board member, so we're going to take a moment before we continue the public hearing for the Stow Acres North Course and just do a couple of administrative items first. We do have one set of minutes from August 5th. August 5th. Thank you so much. I believe some proposed edits were already submitted by Andy and myself. So if folks could take a look at that, that would be greatly appreciated. So we'll start with any additional edits on page 1.
I can read it 20 times and not pick up the things you guys say.
Those guys may weird when I read them, so I'm picking up more things every time. Anything on page 2? Nope. Page 3. Any edits at all?
Oh, good. I move we approve the minutes of August 5th. As edited? As well, as presented here. Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We also have a couple of pieces, or any member updates of a zoning or planning? No? Okay. We do have a couple pieces of correspondence I just want to flag. One from John Masha concerning the Harvard Road flooding. Unless anyone has any thoughts or comments, I don't think there's anything for us to do on that.
Is the town doing anything about that?
I have no idea.
Several other boards and departments have reached out to him in response to his requests, but I am not sure if the actions that the other boards, departments, and whatnot have suggested have met his request or not, and if he is still looking for more. So I can't comment on what others have done regarding it.
If he has a problem, and someone needs to help him solve it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But we're not the ones.
I know we're not the ones.
And we've already sort of raised the issue. I don't know, other than being, so.
It's just pathetic that it's gone this long and someone hasn't stepped up.
No, kind of. Okay. There's also correspondence from the planning department concerning the housing production plan update for 2024. Anyone has comments, I welcome those. There were a few other pieces of correspondence concerning the public hearing that's on today, so I'm just going to pass over those. The last piece of correspondence we received was from Janet Wheeler requesting an amendment to the June 3rd minutes to have her name removed based on staff research. It seems like there's really no protocol around it, nor is
I'm
there
sorry,
really
did you say have her name removed?
Yeah.
correct.
From what? From the minutes?
Yes.
She said it wasn't,
Yes, because it was it, who was it?
so
Andy.
apparently,
It was, yeah, Andy, I think Andy had stated on the record, he just wanted to be clear that he said that Ms. Wheeler approached him and made some, I mean, it was a cordial conversation.
Yeah.
But I guess made a comment about the application or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to, in light of the fact that there was a communication, I think he just wanted to mention it.
Oh, I see.
And her correspondence to us was, that wasn't me, I would never have done that.
Right.
That, not that she denied saying the things, literally the interaction never took place. That it's possible that he spoke to somebody else and was confused with the individual. Ironically enough, Andy's not here to tell me, so for the moment, I'm sort of can defer and ask him like how certain he is. My personal belief is that if he'll take it to his grave that it was her, then we keep it in there and that's so be it. If he goes, well, on second thought, it may not have been, I've got no problem amending it to simply say an individual or a local resident or something like that.
I agree with that.
But I would.
we don't have to amend it, we just have to say in the next minutes. It was
That's true, that's right, we don't, yeah, right, we can just reflect it in today's minutes if we want, so, but I'll wait for him to show up and he can tell us how he feels, because he's going with.
Oh, the other Andy, I thought it was Andy DeMora.
No.
I was looking at Andy.
I would have voiced my
Oh, Andy.
opinion. But she seemed to be adamant having her name removed.
Yes,
So I
Yes.
don't know about if we just cover it in a second. Yeah, okay, I don't know what the protocol is, but frankly, I think we should just leave it as it stands. That's my opinion.
Just clarifying one thing. In reading the email, it seemed like she was saying it had to do with whether or not she was speaking to him before or after the legal process. But I don't remember him referencing one or the other, so I don't think it,
yeah, I don't remember that either.
Yeah. so in
They
some
said-
ways.
I think they was 3 months ago, so, who knows?
Yeah. But I mean, in some ways, like, yeah, I don't think he was saying necessarily that it was after the legal process.
Right.
Well, one way of resolving this is just to put in the new minutes that this came up as a discussion point and she claims that,
Yeah, she represents it.
and that way we can leave it as is.
Yeah, so, all right.
Yeah.
So, well, I think our discussion right now probably, is sufficient to reflect it, but I'll give Andy an opportunity to speak to it when he comes in. One other small, just sort of administrative thing, just for future public hearings, just to let people know. One of the things I'd like to do is to have a little bit more, consistent participation from our 2 associate members at the end of the table. And so one of the things I think I'm going to be asking for as we do new public hearings coming down the pipe is to have one sitting member basically step down from that particular public hearing, just so that you guys can have, more of an active sort of building role. So
Can I step down now?
you're stuck on whatever you're stuck on. So,
Very good, David.
so,
Thank you. Yeah.
sure. But if for some reason I forget, feel free to just throw something at me from the end of the table. Okay. Otherwise, that's as much stalling as I can possibly do for the moment without looking at the schedule going forward. Though, just to be clear, there is a looking ahead where it's talked about September 19th. That's off.
Not officially
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
So that is what was just planned, but we can always take it off and adjust it.
Okay. All right. We'll do it. Okay.
Hey, you guys, just so you know, I'm sitting in about a 95-degree hotel corridor. It's 11 o'clock at night, and I need to be up and at the course at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So,
Got it.
So
Understood.
noted.
So, all right.
Where are you?
Germany?
Brandenburg, Germany.
Okay. With that, I think we will turn to reopen the public hearing for Zero Randall Road and Stow Acres North Course. So I will turn it over to the applicant for anything new and or exciting that he wishes to.
I'll go for exciting.
All right, there we go.
Last meeting, we were going through the permit, so we kind of had some, I guess, a lot of checklist items, and some things to do, some things to incorporate. Just today, some comments were received from Ernie that I had a chance to go through, kind of do a quick comment response on those. So I've got a bunch of stuff, I figure, and it was late, so I told Michael that I'd make copies of things. So I'll just quickly go through each packet and what it means and what's relevant. If there's questions, obviously, I can address, of course. Okay, the first thing has to do with the traffic, with the addresses and the layouts. We finally got a response from our fire chief. So this is a plan that you've all seen, but it's just to consolidate everything. It has, a visual plan for the layout as well as his note and a full listing of the, there you go. And there's extra ones up here we can keep them. So there's the plan, which we had seen, and the colors don't come out as well on that. But he had concerns of points.
You doing the fire chief?
The fire chief, yes. He wanted to separate this in two roads, which I think we may have talked about that before. And then just some of the related address changes that he thought would be better for health and safety. So we had made those changes, modified it in between. He left. Barry Evers came in as the current active chief, so he did provide that approval. So I wanted the board to have that for their comfort. Otherwise,
You need to go to the town clerk to get the actual approval of this.
That I can get approved for it. The main thing I wanted to do
She assigns
for the benefit of this board is to make sure that they were comfortable with the layout, with the addresses. I'll deal with that stuff as we go forward, but I appreciate that. The next thing I have is as we were talking, last week, we kept kind of going around on some issues in terms of open space, homeowners associations. I didn't give you one, but I think you have one.
I have one of these.
Okay. In terms of open space, association, multifamily, etc. Well, I can give it to her. And so we did a few things. This plan doesn't even reflect it, but if you can look at the plans that you have, or Michael, if you want to put it on the board. And so what I did is I went through it in detail with Kathy Netford, my counsel, as we discussed, had her put together a memo trying to just kind of memorialize, the relationship between the things. A couple of things that we did as we started looking at it in detail, areas that will be under the umbrella trust, the main roadways, drainage responsibilities, open space. We incorporated that into the open space umbrella trust zones. You'll see a couple of areas. This is broader drainage issues. Those are included. We use these cut-through streets that people will be driving. That is considered as an umbrella trust. But for example, like these little lanes that are really just for parking, that's really just for the homeowners associations. And, there's one street in the middle here that's all garages. So areas that were genuinely just going to be used for the homeowners, we kept that as homeowners association. And incorporated, so this way, the path is tied in to the open space. Again, the overall drainage, septic system, and then we've got the area for the multifamily housing in blue up front. In the back, we exempted out the main loop road, really because that will need to be done just for health and safety to make sure that that main road is cleared out. But other driveways, parking areas will be the responsibility of the rental community. And again, we did separate project-related detention drainage areas for it. On
Mark, where's the well?
the wells are all back here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's all in the,
Okay,
that's in the umbrella space.
thank you.
And the
So-
septic, I'm sorry.
The septic, again, we've got our treatment center that's up here, that's in the green space under the umbrella.
Okay.
And our septic area, the primary is here, which we transitioned that to umbrella space,
Okay.
as well as the reserve area, which is up in the front area. So that's all under the umbrella trust. That's their responsibility. And the memo associated with it just kind of verbally memorializes what I just said. So, and then we've got a lot of stuff. So if you have questions, I can address it, or people can take a look at it.
Are you gonna make that clear in the trust, the umbrella trust and everything, that sure things are defined properly?
Yeah, and I've got stuff on your comments, yeah, that we'll get to those.
Okay.
All right, next one is, some signage. We have talked about signage, and, you know, it can be relatively simple or extremely complicated. So what I've done is we developed a logo for the property, developed what we would like to use as an entry sign. I keep getting it. So this, you know, pretty simple as a you know, kind of a property sign. You know, the flag as a golf course, residence at Stow Acres, what we'd often call it.
Will it be in black and white or another color?
No, this is intended to be green. Yeah.
Oh, the background green and
The background is green here, yeah, green with white. So what we've got, and, you know, we tried to, Peter Flinker, who did all the overall designs, I had his office work on it. So you can kind of see it in here is at the entrance, the permanent sign that we'd like to build. It's the same logo, it's actually, you know, kind of in a bronze design that would be within a stone structure. We also have other signs that will be inside. You know, we've got a lot of private ways, and the discussion is that we would essentially be using, we would essentially be using traditional street signs with a private way notice. This is an example of what's being used in town. So for all the basic street signs, that's what we would see. Within the property, we'll have the directional signs. This way to the clubhouse, this way to the multifamily, this way to cottage rentals. There may be more signs that we need for public safety, speeding things. So we developed what we felt that could look like, utilizing the logo instead of using the Stow Acres underneath. We'd use, you know, the clubhouse as an example. So we've incorporated some dimensions on it so that we have a consistent theme throughout the property to provide, you know, directional support. We'll work with, you know, with health and safety, the fire department, if they wanted any more information as it relates to, you know, on the lanes, if they want a sign that says homes this way. So we can work with them, but this would be the look and feel, which I think is the most important thing if we can kind of establish that. So there's no confusion.
I'm sorry, Mark, on that first sign, on this one here, is that representative of the size? Or-
No, that's really just representative of what the logo is per se.
Oh, I see.
And how we'll, you know, in here, we, you know, we'll modify it a little bit, so the clubhouse is within the lawn area of what we had showed before. So this is just to try to give a representation of the type of signage we'll have, the type of signage that will be utilized. On a couple of the sheets that included, I had them include the dimensions, so the permanent sign is 6 feet by 5 feet. That would be targeted to be located in the center of the island. And so it's pulled back far enough so that it's not gonna block visibility for people driving, but elegant, stately, attractive sign for people to reflect.
Is that
So
the width?
I have requested that we be able to have, we're gonna need lighting up there to be
Right.
safe, because there's really nothing on Randall. So, we don't have any residential people, but whether it's down lighting or
Yeah, right.
whatever it's gonna be,
Yeah, okay.
lighting that'll be, we'll say, appropriate. But yeah,
That looks great.
that front end, we'll definitely need lighting at that entrance to be safe. In here, I included the list of waivers on the back because we had requested, a waiver to the section for signage. I had made notes in there that it was dealing more specifically with, kind of the temporary construction sign. I simply modified that to include this entrance sign as well as the design of the directional things that are on the interior. So that's in there, and that does include, because one of your memos, there was a table of dimensional stuff that had been submitted previously, but I know you mentioned it in one of your other things, so.
I missed it.
And that hasn't changed, that's the same one that you had received previously, yeah.
Just a small question about signage. Are you putting up anything about, like, no overnight parking on the street or anything like that?
I talked with Michael about that. There will be, there'll be some traffic related signs. It might be parking related signs. There's those types of things that I put that will be more kind of health and safety than I didn't really think felt within a permit. If we're gonna have a speed limit sign, we're gonna have no parking. I assume that you have those in other parts of towns and it wasn't critical. So, if that's something that you want to see, if we want to do something non-traditional from a signage perspective, if we want it to be like this, I'm happy, to submit to the board. But the intent was to, again, just get a consistent look that, can be carried through the property where appropriate. But traditional traffic signs, I'm not gonna do stop signs like this. It's gonna be a red stop sign, no parking might be consistent with traditional, traffic, utilization.
A question on parking. Do you have a place, how do you intend to handle toys, boats and,
They need to be parked inside, there's no.
inside the
no-
garages or whatever, okay, or inside this property?
Yeah, well, I
I
prefer
just
to
wondered
be
what-
inside garage, I don't,
Yeah, I know.
we don't have room for them to be out and about.
I know.
So-
Just, everybody has their toys and
People
they
do
end
have
up
some
everywhere,
toys,
and I
yeah.
just wondered.
Yeah.
Okay.
This isn't
That'll
a,
be part of your rules and regulations.
this isn't a great place for toys, given the overall density that we're dealing with, so.
Small toys.
Yeah.
40 foot.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No,
You've got
I apologize
one.
for being late.
One,
It's
two,
crazy day.
you've got three. So there's three. I'll give you the quick overview and you can look at it. This is confirmation from the fire chief that he's okay with the street names and the addressing system. This is, what is this? Oh, this is breaking down more specifically open space, umbrella trust, homeowners associations, and that's a package for signage.
Perfect, thank you. And then just so you know, the hearing only started at about 5, probably 15-ish or so. We sort of did some administrative back and forth.
I had to watch the video for what I might have missed, so.
Yeah, you're talking a few minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions on signage? Again, that's the only change on the waiver list, was just broadening up that sign definitions for clarity.
Under 16.
Under 16, correct. Otherwise, it's the same document you received. I just updated the dates on the front. This next one, Ernie had submitted comments as it related to Dillis and Roy. So I took your memo and just put some comment response in.
You'd already commented on it, so.
There's a lot of them, it's just kind of clarifying, I'm just trying to close the loop so that we have it, so they're not outstanding. There's a lot of the information that is, as you say, it's pretty consistent with some of the comments and the checklist that we had as well. So I can run through it quickly, but there are, items that are, do you need? So I'll run through them quickly. Glasses on me for this. Dimensional table, that was in the waiver list before. That's why I pointed it out. I knew it was on your list. Snow storage in the WRPD, that was in reference in another memo. We'll take it out. Okay, so that's fine. I realized I just highlighted issues where you had them highlighted. The other ones that were somewhat rhetorical, I didn't. The lighting plan, at Peter's office, they're working on it. There's just so many different areas of lighting that we need. I got a landscape plan, which we're gonna get to. I got the side. I got 2 out of 3 of the ones that we were trying to knock off. So we've done some work on the lighting stuff, but we just, you know, we didn't finish it. So I agree, it's due.
By the way, the site distance and triangle, I missed it, you submitted it, I'm happy.
Okay, yeah,
I just
there was a form. Okay, all right.
I found it this afternoon.
Okay, all right, well, I'll run through fire chief. I talked with the fire chief this morning because he, you know, we hadn't responded. He called, he's like, hey, Mark, I'm really sorry, I've been busy dealing with it. He said, I'm gonna send you a note on the addresses. I said, great. We talked about the 40 feet and he said, yeah, no, that's fine. But I don't have your email. Can you send it to me? So I sent it to him and he was gonna send a response because he said he was fine with it. I haven't seen the response yet, but I did talk with him verbally, so when I get that, I'll have it for the
That's
file.
about 40 feet of the building height.
Yeah, so he's comfortable with that. Signage, we already talked about, so we'll skip over that. There was reference to a special permit requirements in the bylaw, and I mean, the reason we're here is so that we don't have to do special permits and all that kind of stuff. That's really, to me, that's like the fundamental basis of the comprehensive permit. That's why we waive some of those things, so it can all be here. That's how I look at it.
I
So,
didn't look at that way, but okay.
site distances and triangles. Yeah, there was a plan that was done. We had the site distance on the street. I don't think we need it on the interior, so I wasn't quite sure.
I just screwed up, I didn't see it.
Okay. And those radius, turning radius for a couple of those fire lanes, he'll add them to the plan. He knows that they meet illicit discharge. That's gonna be required. The soil testing, we had agreed with that in there, that they'll ensure that everything's in compliance. And, condition 48, I think, had to do with, as-built and some key components within the as-built that should be referenced, which we're okay with that. And then about utilities, we don't even lay out utilities anymore because it has no basis. The utility company lays it out. They tell us what everything is gonna be, what we have on the plan. They never use, they always do it their own way. So once we have these plans that are approved, I'll be working with the utility company. When we get their plans back, I'll submit them to the board and for the building department. We always fight over where the handholds can go. We always fight over where the transformers can go. We usually lose, but I can't put them on the plans because I don't have them. And that's with the utility, both,
Okay.
I mean, the cable company will follow the electric company.
Yeah.
Gas will do their own thing. So as they're
Are you gonna
available,
run gas into it?
we've had that ongoing conversation. We're preserving the
Yeah,
option to
provisions, right?
utilize it if
Okay.
we need it, yeah. So we're gonna talk with them and,
So utilities, capital W, rather, does that include the water as well, or just?
no,
the-
water and sewer and drainage is on the
so
plan
they're
that we control and we
Okay, so
dictate.
that's.
Literally just the power,
Okay.
cable, and gas, so that are controlled by others. The other ones are all reflected on the
And all
plan in
put the
detail.
conduits and
Right.
Everything's in there, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Are these gonna be above ground?
No, everything will be
no, no.
subsurface, yeah. It's
That's
gonna-
only a statement we need to put in there, that utilities are underground.
Yeah, I don't even think I could do it another way on a project these days, as far as I know, so.
And the other thing, I brought up private ways, whereas I want to take it out of our decision, because it's up to you. We have subdivisions that are public ways and accepted by the town. There's no reason yours can't be also, but it's up to you.
Well,
and
hey,
homeowners
I
association.
love the flexibility for it, sure, yeah,
I'd like to have the
Yeah.
flexibility.
that works for
Does
me.
everybody agree with me?
Yeah,
There's no reason to make it
Okay,
private.
that's great.
Thanks,
Cause
maintenance.
it's unfair to the residents in a lot of ways.
You may have, if you want it within the rental area, you may have to put in monuments and everything, because you're gonna have to deed over that land,
Right,
okay? Which may make a change for what you do,
okay,
okay?
but that is appreciated, so I'm good with that. I didn't understand that was your meaning, that's why I didn't talk about it.
Okay.
I didn't know what you meant in terms of we shouldn't restrict it, because there was some question of, should we go one way or another way? That's what I thought you were talking about dimensional stuff. So no, I agree with that, so I appreciate that. All right, I think otherwise, it was really, just memorializing some of the aspects of Dillis and Roy and some things that should be carried into the permit, which I'm good with. Going through these good. All right, the next one, Ernie also did comments on the action item list.
Thanks.
That we put together, some of them that we talked about in the, first half of the permit that we reviewed. So I'm gonna give you these, and then I'm also going to give you these, because on here we have, the updated plan, which the site plan really hasn't changed, but this is copies for you that, again, shows the open space, but this also has on more comments and details of small things that have been referenced throughout the permit, that I wanted to make sure was on here for you guys to review, and it relates to some of the items that were action items. So I'm gonna kind of keep this out, and I can point to it as we go through. Pump house that is to be removed, that's added to the plan. That's up here in the upper right-hand corner. It's right over by the, it's by one of the wells. The drawings show proposed garages, no commitment to provide the garages. A couple things, I attached, just
Oh, sorry, we still talking about garages?
oh, yep.
Oh, you could finish the garage first, then I had a question.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So we showed in a couple of areas, particularly in the rental zones, of locations that we could put potential garages. I didn't make a commitment to provide them. The garages will be available if people want to rent them. I'll build them. I think that there'll be a market for them, but that's the basis of it. With people that get the garages, this would be as an added fee. I could build 2, I could build 6, I could build 10. It'll really be based on demand. That's why I didn't put it in as an obligation. I don't see it as an obligation. I see it as a business opportunity. If I can build garages and get more money for it, that's great. So that's the nature of how it's structured. In the back of this package, I have a sample, it's a 4-bay garage that I happen to be using at another site that's cottage properties. It's similar. So it's on the 3rd page there, just to have a basis of what that garage could look like.
Is that also true of the 62 plus?
Same thing. It'll be the same thing. It'll be available for people,
If they want to have one built.
What's that?
If they need one built.
Yeah, if people want to do it. Essentially, the site that I'm working on now, some people are coming in more value than what they need. I did the same thing. I allowed flexibility within the decision to add them based upon people's needs. So I've got some people that want it. I'm in the process of putting in, I think it's going to be a 5-bay garage. So it would be the same thing here. We'll get a sense of it early on. People want it, but that's why the space is designated. One space is really the same space that you get with a garage. You might lose 1 space overall. If you build a 12-unit garage, it might take 13 spaces, but that's the intent.
So if I have a car, I don't want to spend the X dollars a month, you probably charge to rent the garage space.
Yeah.
They park where?
In the parking area.
In the parking spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so there'll always be enough, like,
Everybody has 2 parking spaces plus some visitor parking throughout the whole site. Okay, the individual homes,
so you're not, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
we're not taking away parking spaces.
That's what
for people.
Okay, so theoretically, if you had rentable garage spaces that nobody took, there's still enough spaces for everybody, correct? Okay, just wanted to check.
So this is where Ernie can put his toys.
Well, that may be the case. That's where the toys go. They
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
be,
looking
they
forward to
gotta be
this.
little toys though.
When are you gonna start building?
Soon, I'm working on it.
I have to downsize.
I'm working on it, I'm working on it.
Next spring, I'm ready to go.
All right, well, let's hope we are too. Peter was asking the same question. Note 3, details for EV. People will be able to put EV chargers in their garages. We do it at homes all the time. It's pretty straightforward. We have designated areas by, in the parking area, over on the rental cottages where in the area where the garages are, and also, by the, 62 plus building. What's intended, and I've seen them at locations, they're individual stations, we can add more of them based on need.
So you
People will
will,
pay for their charging,
so you go to an EV charging company and have them put in for
have
you.
them put it in, people pay for it.
Okay,
We can put in one, if demand requires more, we line them up on the extra spaces,
Okay,
so pretty straightforward. We'll make sure that the infrastructure is there as it will be part of the, for these in the rental communities, it will be part of the rental, power arrangements. For, the multifamily, again, that would be part of the multifamily.
the electric company needs to know this to make
Yeah,
sure
so
they're bringing enough power.
what's
Yeah.
HOP's position here? Are they gonna be in line with all this? Cause there's some capacity that they need to plan for.
Yeah, I think that I don't think I'm not, having the
They can
transformers,
always
I'm
put
worried
level
about.
2 in.
Having the power will
Well,
be.
but yeah, but they just,
Yeah.
worst case is everybody decides, oh, we all want an EV, so that's gonna be,
I haven't had issue, with people, if you're building a home and they're getting a 200 amp system, what they get no matter what, they're putting in EV systems, they're not needing additional power within that framework. So I
okay.
don't anticipate the needs being that much more, candidly.
Okay.
So I will communicate it to them as part of the overall, electrical design in terms of what's common, what's going to homes, what's going to individual owners, all of that stuff will need to be taken into consideration. That'll be a process with the company. That's part of the reason why they do the design instead of us. So they allocate the power properly. So, but that certainly will be taken into consideration.
Do you charge a markup?
On the power?
Yes.
No, there wouldn't be an attempt. I'm not, the power, I'm not looking at it for, I don't even think I'll own the equipment. I think the equipment will essentially be placed, but there's a lease is how I understand it. So other than the power, they may pay for their own power, and then as part of their charging, they get it back. I don't look at the garages. I'm tying up money and putting it in. It's an investment. I expect to get paid for
Yeah,
it.
the garage.
This is more of a service for people. It's a third party that's coming in. It's not taking space away, other than having the power available. I don't anticipate owning the equipment, if it's a lease thing or something, but that's a pretty well-established business these days. I don't know all the ins and out of it, but, I want to make sure it's there and it's available for people, but it isn't anything that I don't look at it as a profit center. The bulk of these homes are going to have their own systems, and it's the way to work. So that was that. Guardrails. We've got 2 locations for guardrails, that have been added on the plan.
You want to sit down, by the way?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
Understand it.
So I just realized I was like.
This way I can show you stuff as I'm getting close, so.
I just wanted you to feel obligated. to say
No,
that.
that's okay. If I'm leering over you and I'm too close, then tell me that too. So, we're gonna have guardrails on this, we've got a bit of a bridge with retainage that's going to the clubhouse lane. So there'll be guardrails there, and the notation has been added for it, which I'm sure everybody can see.
Sure.
I had to circle it so I could see it. And the other area for guardrails is really, behind the multifamily building here, in relation to the, that grading there, the detention basin behind it. We're showing the garage building. If that wasn't gonna be garage, we probably would extend that down a little bit behind it for extra safety. But presuming there's a garage there, we didn't need to worry about it. So that's in there. We'll incorporate the details for the guardrail into the plans. There are, some things here that will need to be transferred to the final one.
Let me ask a question, if you're gonna get to it later, or it's addressing later, that's fine. The donut hole, I don't know what else to call it, the space here, and when you rearrange the homes, there was a space here, sort of left open.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of demarcation, a fence or something like that, so that these residents know that they just can't start encroaching over here?
Yeah, we'll do something.
Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I don't know what it is right now.
Noticed that, and I'm just kind of like, I was like, problem. I was like, boy, if I could buy that,
Buy that lot,
and
and
then
I'm living in
I just take free property that's right next door, so.
You have to cut the grass though.
Well,
Let's bring in some goats.
we will make sure it's delineated. Okay, the next note had to do with dumpsters. So we show Dumpsters back here. Nobody likes dumpsters near them. They're the hardest thing to locate. So we show dumpsters back here for the rental community.
Yeah.
We show them here for the multifamily community. I think one location is adequate. Really, if it's heavy usage, we increase the frequency. So instead of doing it once every 2 weeks, it's once a week. If it's gotta be twice a week, it's twice a week.
Okay.
So they come and go, and that's how we deal with it.
Okay.
Because having them spread all over the place just makes bigger issues.
Okay.
So, so what we have, I'm comfortable, I believe it's adequate. Community garden can be added in the future date. We put that back on and dotted with the note, as was requested. Design details for the streets, and you made reference about the fire access lanes. Are they gonna be adequate structurally? We're gonna design them structurally the same as the roadway. So that base of them will be the same. So, they'll be able to have a.
It just wasn't in the drawing and I just.
Nope, very good to clarify, all good. Sidewalk, that easement, I had added that after the last meeting, so there's a 10-foot easement along our property. Because there really isn't space between the stone wall and the street to add a sidewalk if that was something that wanted to be added in the future. That's reflected on the plan. Lighting plan we talked about earlier, snow storage in WRPD, we'll get rid of it. It was just one little small for people. There's one little small space up here is the only one that was in the WRPD that was snow storage.
We just don't want to appeal, that's all.
Yeah. Landscape plans, in your packages, there is, we had, Dotson and Flinker do, some, landscape plan samples for kind of the two base home styles of an interior and an exterior. Pretty well detailed, some, different arrangements, probably more plantings than I want, but hey, I think it'll look lovely, so. All native. All native, oh yeah, everything is all native these days. So that can be looked at. Questions you can ask me. Clarify note 12. I think that goes back to the same question about utilities. We've got water, we've got sewer, we've got drainage that's located. Utility companies will dictate the other things and we'll provide them when they're available. The bike rack notation had been added to the plan. That's up in the back. That's back here. Remember, it had a little dog leg that was going down. That conservation requested to get rid of and asked for a bike rack, so we've got it back there now. So the benefit for that is for people that don't, whether they live in the neighborhood or not, it can be for public. They're out biking around. They don't want to walk all the way through the neighborhood. They can bike here, go down, and enjoy things. So that'll be a public bike rack.
Is it movable or like?
No, it'll be a permanent bike rack,
Okay.
in the ground.
Yeah.
Bike rackish. I don't want to get too technical.
They can be very artistic.
They can be. I'll look at them.
You do like the Mirrored Library, it's just filled with books.
Hey, that could work. Note 14, this had to do with that we don't have a specific phasing plan per se, so that was really it of the intention. We're gonna be
You said
putting in
something about the helical,
the main loop of the roadway, obviously the community water and the sewer, that's gonna be the initial focus so that we can, deal with those homes and, we'll go from there. But the single family is gonna be the initial focus of the property. That's what's gonna pay the bills. That's where we're gonna get started, start turning some cash. So, everything works. Signage plan, no, order of conditions, lots requiring an order conditions. I didn't break it out lot by lot, anything within 100 feet is gonna be it. Obviously, when we finish this, we'll be going across the hall to work with conservation. So I didn't specifically delineate them. I think, on the plans, it's clear what's within the buffer zones, they're all reflected on the plans. So we'll deal with that with conservation. Signage plan, we've already talked about. There was a point about a detail for the wetland crossing for the trail. The area that we're generally talking about is down here, down here. And what the conversations have been is that we'll deal with it in the field. It's just gonna be a bit organic. We wanna take, the easiest route, the least intensive route. And the discussions were that we work with conservation. And if we've got to do a boardwalk or raise things, we work that out with conservation to limit the impacts. The area that we'd be going is actually, it's a wooded area as well. So it's not like an open meadow. So we want to avoid trees, and just have the least intensive approach. So I think some of that will be decided on in the field when we're doing the work, but it'll all be done in conjunction with Concom. Agreed?
Yeah, it'll have to be in the summertime, so.
Yeah, it would, I'm not saying that's the nature of it. We'll be working with the Conservation Commission to make sure that it's okay. That's there. I don't remember what 18 is, apartments and owners. You were
This is
talking
the,
about regulatory agreements.
Yeah.
I can get copies of them. It's the standard document from EOHLC for rentals. They have a regulatory agreement for sale agreements that talks about your 20% of total development percent for profits, talks about 80% of the median, all that stuff of how that is managed and controlled. It's a fill in the blank document. They have the same document for the rentals that will be for the rental cottages, and it will be slightly different for the multifamily building because it'll have the age restriction incorporated into it. So if we want copies, we can have them. They're not going to be signed until, things are moving forward. They could change by then. But they're DHCD documents. They're nothing that we do. We literally fill in the gaps. Anytime we try to change them, it takes.
Yeah, they were in our rules and regulations, because in the past, we've had some that we didn't agree with. We did get a few of them changed, that's all.
Yeah. So, I'll email them to Michael,
If you're happy
what
with
I
what
have
they
is
are, I
the
guess.
most recent ones. Whether I'm happy with them or not, it's not worth the energy to try to go through and deal with it. And it's, I'm used to it. So, that's the nature of it. It's a very transparent process. It's a very invasive process in some ways. But it is what it is, and that's what you sign up for. So, we get the density, we make sure we don't make too much money, and they make sure that's true. Fair enough. So, and then this was just the copy of your memo that was in the back. The last page was, you had a comment about the umbrella trust documents, and they're really a placeholder. I think that those, by the time we get everything that we got to deal with for DEP, for the wells, for the septic, that all of those things could be changed. So that draft, I didn't even go through I know you made some comments on it. That's really the way I look at it. It's part of the reason I wanted Kathy to get a little more specific with that memo of what the umbrella trust is gonna do and what the associations are gonna do, specific with streets and all that kind of stuff, so the board can have a better comfort for it. But those documents, I think that they're gonna evolve so much that whatever we talk about now is,
You mean I wasted 10 hours on those stupid things?
you only wasted an hour. Yeah. So there was a couple of other comments that you had, so that's the main one.
Affordability is.
The homeowners association, what my intent is right now, the association fees, I think, are gonna be generally modest for all the homes. So my intent is to keep it consistent for all the residents.
Barbara
So everyone's-
had a separate table which broke out each house, what its percentage was.
I'm saying right now,
Yeah.
they'll all be the same.
Okay.
If that's gonna change, because if the fees are modest,
If they're modest, that's one thing.
it's better to keep it even, because if in projects that I've been involved with, that there have been issues in the long term, it's usually because I'm a market rate buyer, I'm spending $500 a month for condo fees, you're an affordable buyer, you're spending $200 a month. You may not be respectful of the rules of what's going on. We want to make some changes, and we're funding it, and you get a little infighting because of the differences in the fees. Some associations, that things can be very expensive. Here, we've got a lot of units, tried to keep, the umbrella trust to be focused on, and the homeowners associations to be focused on those limited areas. If it works out that because DEP comes back and says, hey, you're gonna have this much for reserve, this much for things, and it's gonna have too much of an impact on the affordable people, I'll break it out, I'll come back, I'll talk with the board and I'll explain what I'm doing. But as of now, the intent is to keep everybody with the same fees.
Okay,
How much
it's
is
just,
just at the,
I was just gonna ask how much the fees are gonna be.
Like $100 to $150 a month, yeah.
because if you go around the places in town right now, Arbor Glen, they're charging, I think, about 400 and something for the fees. Paxton Farms and Meeting House, they're up into $600-700.
Some can be very expensive
And-
in the buildings with elevators, with that stuff, like they've got
Okay.
Meeting House. Those are also including insurance for homes and stuff, which we're not gonna be doing here. The homeowners association, that'll be separate. These are fee simple lots. So there's a number of fees, individual lot maintenance, individual driveways. We're not paying for those as an association. That's gonna be an individual decision for people.
Okay.
So when you strip that out, you're really left with the core infrastructure of the property. And given the amount of units here, I think it's gonna be reasonable enough, yeah.
How about the rental units? Are the individuals gonna be charged separately for the maintenance fee?
No.
Or that's part of their rent?
No, that's part of the rent.
So in effect, you're accommodating the affordables in the rental units.
I'm accommodating them in the market rate as well, because I'm accommodating it as zero.
Everybody in the market rate's paying the same fee,
Correct.
but in the affordable, in the rentals, they aren't,
What with it?
because it's
They're
part
not-
of their
they're
rent
not-
structure.
Well, they're not paying an assessment for the use of those items. Nobody is. So the affordables are paying, they're not paying an incremental price on it. So I guess if I was charging one and not the other,
And you have the 62 plus and you have the rentals. The affordable units are paying less for their home or room or their condo than the market rate people that are paying the full price for the rental of those units.
correct.
So they are paying less towards the fee than the market rate people
Yeah,
are.
but that's indirectly. And I understand what you're saying.
But
I'm
in the
not arguing.
homeowners, they're all
Paying the same, but they're also paying it as a separate item. But the affordable people are gonna be spending $300 for a house and for a mortgage related to that, property taxes related to that, as compared to, $800, $900, $1 million that the market rate are gonna pay with the associated, higher mortgage, higher taxes, everything that goes along with it. So I understand your point, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm not saying to the market rate people, we're gonna deduct $75 off your rent to offset 25% of what theirs doing. That's just the nature of it. People, this is what the rent, they're gonna make a business decision to take the rent or not take the rent. And I
Like I
can't
say,
do anything beyond
in
that.
Arbor Glen, there's a table with percentages per unit. Per unit.
They're for sale. I mean, and all
Well, all the
all-
homes are for sale too, so.
Well, they are, and what I've said is that their percentage interest is all gonna be equal. You can do them all
I know
equal,
what you're
you can
saying.
do them based on value, bigger buildings, they'll do them based on square footage. So that's a decision. From my end, I would be better served to make the fees be higher for the market rate and lower for the affordable. Because if that condo fee is 50 instead of 150, I can get an extra $10,000 on the sale price. So I think it's a better community overall that if everybody has the same fee. But if we do it the other way, I'll make money. So I always look at self-interest for people. My self-interest would be to do it the way that you're asking me to do it. For the homes, I don't think it's the best approach, assuming the budgets are where they are, because I don't think that's really a burden for the affordable resident. If it becomes $300 a month for whatever reason, and that becomes more of a burden, I may revisit it, is what I'm saying. But as of now, I think if we can keep it consistent, it will make for a better community.
If you turn it over, it will get revisited, so.
No, at that point, they won't, you need like a 90% vote, and no one votes to increase their fees. increase their percentage fees. So at that point,
Yeah, I think that's the concern, is that it's not like suddenly the market, I mean, let's be frank, the market people aren't gonna be like, you know what?
Let's
We're
be
gonna,
fair.
we'll increase ours 120%, yours will only go up X, you know? That's why I feel like it would almost be better to lock it in now. My bigger concern is more, I'm not necessarily willing to concede it, but I'll acknowledge that you might be correct that like, hey, the fee's $100 a month,
That's
we'll just
no
say, or $100 a month, sorry, $100, for the
Yeah.
year, or whatever.
$100 a month.
$100 a month, you know, that may not be a burden, though I question that. But it's not gonna be $100 a month forever.
It isn't.
It's
But nothing is what the number is forever.
No,
but
I know, but
everybody
it's-
starts increasing more money as
But at a
life
certain,
goes on.
yeah, I was gonna say, at a certain point, like, it will be a burden for the people who are in the affordable, you know?
But that's all indexed, that's all indexed.
Life gets more expensive, we
Right.
all know that,
Right.
so.
Well, true, but if you're living in an affordable home, it's been acknowledged that you can't afford the same amount that
But
everybody
that's a
else.
relative thing, Dave, right? That changes every year, whatever that affordability line is,
Sure.
so.
So I'm open, I'm trying to be honest with my perception of it, I have done quite a few of these.
Turn over the roads to the town, you have to solve a lot of your problems.
That's a very good point, so, but yeah, so, like I said, that's my intention. I'm very happy if you wanna put something in the permit that says, once the real budgets are established, we'll have a conversation about it. If we wanna have this conversation when we're getting ready to do that, I'm okay doing it, because I could come back, because I think it's more,
So that begs a question, and I know we've been there's been a correspondence with town council about this, about what can be punted. And like, I do get concerned that, we'll deal with that later, and then later comes and we
well, if
can't.
it doesn't, the permit says what the permit says.
Well, I know, that's why I'd almost be inclined to sort of lock it in now, and then,
That's what it is.
and then sort of lock something in now. If we wanna revisit later, we can try, but for some reason.
Then I come back and make it, ask for a request as a change, so. Right now, what I'm saying is that the intent is that, all of the 124, homes would have the same share in the association. That's what I'm saying. If I wanna change that, that can be, I would consider that, I don't consider it a substantial change, but I consider that a change that I could come and talk with the board about. So, but I understand your point of what we keep open, what we don't. I don't like having a huge laundry list of things either. If this is something, it could change, you know, once I start dealing with DEP, and the numbers could have a sizable impact, and affect the homeowners, and I may say, look, we need a little water.
That's an after the fact event, right?
No,
Yes,
I'll
exactly.
go out in conjunction with, DEP, as they're issuing their approvals, they'll establish reserve,
But
reserve
none of that can
requirements.
occur until we finalize this permit, right?
Yeah, no,
So my
what I'm
point is,
saying is, yeah,
so my point is, we conclude this session, we put a bow on it, it's all done, and down the line, something occurs. That's an after effect appointment, and we come back and talk about that as a separate entity.
correct.
Okay.
As long as Mark raises it, I think the issue is leaving it open, and I'm questioning here why it needs to be left open. If Mark needs to change it for business reasons, he'll come back.
I agree, I don't wanna leave it open, I would rather leave it the way it is, with me understanding that if those fees are getting up, there's a concern by the board, I would have the same concern. I would have to come back to change it. I would agree with everybody that leaving it open is,
We don't want to do that.
it's problematic.
It's very problematic.
And the change really has to come from you, because to the rest of the board's
It would-
point.
it would come from us.
The market people are not going to.
Look, and to be honest with you, it isn't even something that I typically have conversations with the board on, because from a practical sense, DHCD sets the pricing, they're the ones that ultimately would question what we're doing or what we're not doing. I don't even think you need to put it in the permit, candidly, because it's their jurisdiction as compared to the board's. I'm just trying to give you as much background and information, based on my experience that I can. But I don't even think it's a permit issue,
I'm also sort of feeling like we need to move on.
So.
It's past midnight for me, so I just need to keep moving.
So that is all of the stuff that I had. And then, there was the balance of, I think, the permit that there was discussions of going through, but I've submitted my stuff and we're already past midnight, so.
David, should we talk about the next meeting date, just in case I really do turn into a pumpkin before you guys have finished, and then I'll listen to the video?
Sure. Michael reminder, the applicant did approve an extension to, how far did we go? 19. 19. And then, who's not available?
I'm not available.
Late tonight, not available.
Who's getting fired?
Yeah. Oh, well, what's that feature?
I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I think, initially, part of the reason we wanted to meet earlier was to try to get as much done. And it's late for Ruth, but she can look at the minutes later too. So if we go later tonight,
Exactly.
and she missed, she can catch it up,
She
she's
did
got
miss one
the
vote.
bulk of it. Oh,
Did I for this one? No, I
Yes,
don't.
you
I didn't.
early on, so it missed one vote, so.
Oh, shit, I didn't intend to. Oops.
We would need to either close and continue it or close it. Depending on-
Are you sure, Michael? Because I don't recall that.
There was, it was back, I believe, in February or March, or I think it was the March meeting.
Okay, my apologies. I didn't realize I had. I think we should pick
I'm sorry.
I think we should pick a date.
Yeah. Is that the issue? Because I think I said something about I wasn't available on Tuesday the 17th. I am, if the 17th would work instead of the 19th of September, if that's an issue.
You guys are volunteers, I do this for a living, so you guys tell me when to be here.
I'm looking at
I'll be
everybody,
here.
not just you.
I don't expect, I don't think I'm gonna be out of town for anything,
17 doesn't work for me, 18 would work for me, 20 would work for me.
I'm gone from basically the 18th to the
Oh, so
24th.
Over the
Say
sixth.
about 16.
I can't do the 16th. That's the only day of that week I can't do.
So I'm not trying to be offensive, by any means. But as you don't vote on this, I'm not trying to, don't take this personally.
No.
I'm trying, I guess, is there any objection just going forward on the 16th?
Will you be back, Ruth?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not. Sorry. 16. No, I'm on an airplane.
At what time?
Do they have internet?
I don't get back
Seriously?
I don't get back until too late. I'm literally flying back that day.
Is there a problem with doing it the following week, this week of the 23rd?
I want to wrap it up.
I bet.
I should be available, I'll be flying back on the 24th, so 25th, 26th, 27th. Might be a zombie on that Wednesday, but I'll be here, so.
Speaking of zombies, yeah.
First in, no.
I mean, yeah, if we can't finish it tonight, 25th.
It's okay. For me, I could do the 25th.
25th.
I can do the 25th, I'm just confirming.
Ruth, can you do 25?
Yeah.
Regular start time? Yeah, okay. And it would be just for this topic?
Yes.
I move we continue the meeting to 25th of September at 7:15.
Are we continuing it now?
Well, yeah, hold on.
Well,
Oh,
I don't know.
We can agree now,
Yeah,
and then
we can
when
agree
we're
the next
done,
yeah.
once Ruth is done, we can continue it then.
Well, you can't though, because didn't I miss something already?
So if she drops off now.
Are you dropping
Oh, are you
off?
dropping off now?
Yeah.
She's.
Well, so my que-
That's some concession here.
Okay, sorry, I misheard what you said.
Okay, all right, but before you do that, well, there's a motion, so,
Discussion.
okay, yeah, is there a second?
So I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? I have a discussion. So before we continue this, I don't know, I don't want this extended beyond the 25th. Right? I figured. And so before that, is there anything else that we have to ask, that anybody wants to ask the applicant that we feel like is missing, we need more information of, or anything like that? Because I sort of want to say like, this is it. Because I don't want to find out that like, oh shoot, we should have asked for something and now he's going.
Right, and I haven't prepared it.
Right, no, exactly, like, you know. So, okay. No, okay, no. All right. One other question is, everything that you have in the various documents you gave us today that says like added, removed, basically taken care of,
That's on the plan,
that's already in the plan.
that's in the plan.
I just want to triple check.
I
Okay,
got that plan at 4:07.
Okay. okay. So from your perspective, like you're done.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay. But theoretically, any changes to the plan that need to be reflected here have not been.
Any changes to the plan have not been updated into
And that's in applies.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fine.
So I can work on that this week.
Okay.
Send it out.
Yeah, and I can work with Michael too, on the permit. I know Ernie had some comments. I didn't get a chance to look at them because I was dealing with the other stuff.
Yeah.
I would maybe suggest if other board members have gone through we went through the first half of the conditions. If you haven't, if you can go through the second half.
Yeah.
And submit any notes. So at that meeting,
Yeah, I mean,
we can shrink it down to 5 things that we need to spend time on instead of, going through everything.
I think that would be great.
no, I agree. My preference is to not go through the decision line by line like we did the last time. I'd rather, people say, hey, listen, here are my line edits, that's fine. But if someone's got a comment that requires sort of conceptual discussion, that's the things that I want to sort of save. Should this be in here? Did we forget to add this? Stuff like that nature. Yes, Kenny?
I would say similarly, I have some minor suggested tweaks, but I can work with Michael and Mark to
Please.
try to have them done
Yeah.
for next time,
For the decision.
to the decision.
Yeah. So my question for you, Michael, is, if I were to say, for example, have edits to this version right now, do you want them soon? Or do you want to make the updates that Kathy is suggesting and that might need to be reflected here and then send a new version? I'm just conscious of version control and timing, so it's your call, I don't care.
I will have a new draft or a revised draft on the 12th, which is Thursday.
Oh, wow, okay.
That will incorporate the new submitted materials, correspondence, and some of what was discussed.
Okay.
That has not yet been reflected. I will send it out Thursday, and if I could get it by
On Friday.
the following, the 19th,
Yeah.
which is a
Yeah,
week from
no
then.
problem.
Yeah, I think that would be great if everyone could just get their edits in. to
Yeah,
Michael by
that sounds
then.
great.
Then if you want to consolidate that with an updated draft.
And then I will have that consolidated, and then because quorum stuff and open law, I can't give it to you till the 25th
That's fine.
at the start of that meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, that works. The only other thing I wanted to just spend 1 minute on is on this question of sort of hunting. Does anyone have any comments or take a look at legal counsel's, comments? Any concerns about, what was interesting is that it seems like the comment was, if you can assert that you have the expertise to evaluate it, then you can punt it. It always seems like that's the trigger. Of course, I could be like, we're experts on a lot of things. I mean, what's interesting too is that it's also sort of, there's a trust aspect to this as well, because we could punt something and you could actually then challenge it and go, nope, sorry, it doesn't count, and then we sort of lost our window.
There is a trust.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah, I trust him. I don't, if something happens to him, I'm not going to trust who takes over.
right, no, I understand, so.
I feel great.
Yeah. And maybe it's the
I
lawyer.
just lost 4 pounds.
Let's get the key man
And maybe it's the lawyer in me, like, I don't love having all those trust documents, just sort of being like, we'll get to it, you know what I mean? You know? And so, but I also sort of acknowledge the timing of.
It's a practical answer.
No, I
And you're an
understand.
attorney, so you can certainly say that you have expertise on that.
Yeah.
Is there a way to word this so that it's built in that it comes back and
We
it's
can try-
acknowledged that it's.
Yeah. I mean, part of me almost wants to think about sort of splitting the baby a little bit. And what I mean by that is to say that we ask, anything that we ask to come back, we have come back. But we try to put things in there to say, but like, no matter what, it's gotta have this. You know what I mean? Like, for example, on the fee issue, if we decided, no, we want the affordable people to pay a lower fee, just hypothetically, okay? That we would actually say, we will review the trust documents at a later date. However, they must include X. That way it locks that piece in, you know? It's like there's that other thing where there's this weird 1-year delay between like, after the final sale, there's supposed to be a transfer, but there was this language in like the umbrella trust that basically gave, I think, you like an extra year. I don't think it was intentional, it's just the way it read. That one's always stuck in my mind, like I want that removed. So,
But if you flip that around.
Yeah.
And he's non-compliant,
yeah,
how do you adjudicate that? That's just the reciprocal of that conversation.
he's not compliant that we can't look at the documents again, you mean? Like he doesn't resubmit them, or he doesn't?
Well, that was sort of council's point. It was what recourse does the board have in the event of something that doesn't get resolved?
Right.
If he doesn't resubmit the documents,
Right.
I mean, then it's up to us to decide,
Right.
do we try to find him in violation?
No, from a practical sense, what will happen is if you have it as a condition, that if the building commissioner doesn't have it,
Yeah.
he doesn't issue a building permit, I can't pass go, I
Right.
can't get 200. I
Right,
can't do
right. At which point you have two choices. You can either comply or you file suit and say, you couldn't require me to submit it anyways. So you're withholding, yeah.
It's like a spiral conversation we're having.
No,
Yeah.
but that's your control.
Right.
And that's all for me,
Yeah.
that's why, and I understand, from a legal jurisdiction, I always work with towns, so.
I
But
understood.
your point of trust is valid.
Yeah, but your point is, if you suddenly say, you know what, I'm getting out of this, I'm gonna sell this, I'm gonna make a boatload of money, I'm gone in 6 months or whatever.
Can I do?
How much we talking?
So, I don't know.
I just lost 4 pounds.
So anyway,
I absolutely don't agree with her. We can't delegate things to somebody else. It's our decision to make.
Yeah.
It says it. We have a open meeting and all that. We go by all the rules. Once he gets approval, anything he produces, existing town boards or departments have to make the decisions, not us.
Right.
And the building inspector doesn't want to go through
trust
documents. Maybe the planning department would do it for us. I
Yeah.
trust them. But, it's out of our hands at that point. I don't really agree with her. And our previous lawyer said, we can't do that.
All right, so here's my suggestion, because otherwise we're gonna talk about this all night. My personal suggestion is, all right, so we've got a schedule in terms of how to deal with the decision, so we can knock it out on the 25th. I guess.
Close on the 25th.
Yeah, well, close the vote on the 25th. Yeah, and we're doing it, I guess I would want people to be prepared to submit comments to the extent that there's anything in the decision that says punt, to think truly hard about, do we want to roll the dice, even if it's a small risk, on punting it? And if not, at a minimum, is there something you can put in there that's a more definable condition other than, we'll look at it later?
Right. I'm concerned about this whole issue that we raised about, the affordability of the fee.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand. Yeah,
That to me is the issue I'm concerned about.
yeah. And so that's one of those, when you submit your comments, you can say, okay, we'll look at these trust documents later.
but at a minimum, it must indicate, I don't know, make whatever it
Some
is.
kind of,
One thing we don't know is what the state has to say about affordability now, how he handles it.
Well, right,
We're not familiar with
Exactly.
that.
And it's pushing, it's also pushing being outside of our jurisdiction.
yeah, but you could put things in there that says like, rather than having, similar fees, around the board, you could have, you could have a, I don't know, 60-40 split or something. I don't, there's a way to do it. Like, you can do it-
I don't know that we can, I don't know that we can.
Well, correct, that's right. That's
some
right.
kind of a formula.
When I was
or
on the
something.
planning board, we required it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, there. But we're replacing the planning board here. That's what we're doing. You are. Okay.
They do a lousy job anyway, so.
Any other additional comments or things to bring up as part of this discussion? No? Okay. In that case, as we have a motion of second, discussion is closed. All in favor of continuing the hearing to July, September 25th at 7 PM? Is it 7 PM?
7:15?
10:15.
Sorry, 7.
We can do it 7.
No, we'll just do it at 7. We have no idea.
Do it at 7.
We'll do it at 7. Was there a vote? Yes, vote, yes, yeah, yeah, it was a 3-2 split, but it just made it a vote.
I will sign it, let me just put this in my phone so I don't forget.
Have fun,
Thanks.
make it
Roy.
home.
Hey,
No, thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. See ya.
Traffic sucks.
And what time, 7 o'clock?
Yes, please. Yeah, this should be the only agenda.
Thank you for going through all that stuff. I'm sorry it was so late coming to it, but it took a long time.
No, it is a lot, and there's so many documents, it's hard to, with such a wide, and this is a really wide range of project, there's a lot that's going on with it, so.
And you got my comments with drawings about things missing off of them and everything, right?
I understand, I understand it, part of, and, I'm a really pragmatic guy. If I tell you something and we're talking about it, I'm gonna do it, or I'm gonna call you and tell you why I can't. But I know everybody doesn't always operate like that, so I get it, yeah.
I, dealt with it for a number of programs and I trust you. Want to be trusted.
Do you have key managers?
What's that?
Do you have key man insurance?
No.
Can we put some in place?
No, we're just a small firm.
You've built it up quite a bit, haven't you?
A lot going on right now.
Yeah,
So, shifting some things, because I have a lot going on. But it's good stuff. So,
Time exercise probably, yeah.
it is, yeah, it's more of, the time you spend kind of changes for planning. Now I spend more time dealing with, money and making sure I have it from one to the next to the next. And when I've got a lot of projects, and these days all the capital requirements are going up, so it's different, and I've been doing more rental stuff of late, so that takes money, but doesn't necessarily provide capital for the next one, so it's.
You rented those places in Lancaster yet?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they mostly, I'm just about done, just about everything's rented, so they're doing well.
Well, the rental market supposedly is good, so.
It is good, yeah, I think here we'll do, I think I'll do better here than Lancaster, Lancaster is kind of in between. So the whole thing has been saying, I want the people from 495 to say, okay, I'll take an extra 6-minute ride to get this really unique product you can't get. Because people from Leominster, the rents are expensive. 495, it's attractive, but I'm like right in the middle, and that's really been the challenge. Surprisingly, the 3 bedrooms are more of an issue than the 2. I thought that I had you know, small families or, you know, with people that wanted the extra room for an office or whatever, and the 3 bedrooms have been more of a challenge, which is really surprised me.
People are having fewer kids.
Huh?
People are having.
Yeah,
fewer
but
kids.
I just figured these
The working
days,
homes,
I
yeah.
thought that the 3 bedrooms would be a couple with 1 kid or whatever, and someone works at home, they have an office.
You know,
But
I think it's a situation, if you're renting, like, it's a financial issue. So if you're thinking, we're gonna rent the 2 bedrooms and save money, you know, and
the difference, the space isn't that dramatic from one sense, and that's part of it. You know, like the 2 bedrooms are roughly 1,300, the 3 bedrooms are roughly 1,400.
Oh.
Really different layout. But the rents aren't substantially different. I mean, they're a few $100s, so, you know, but it's, you know, the rents, they're not cheap. It's
No.
3,800 a month for a 3 bedroom, you know? I mean, 35 for you know, for the 2 bedrooms out there. So, you know, and you need it because you know, everything else is going up these days. I couldn't fund it if I don't get those items now, so.
Are they one level? Can you, they have a master bedroom on the first floor?
I've got a bungalow, which is all on 1 level, which is about 1,200 square feet. That's a really wonderful little plan. And then I've got the 3 bedroom, has a master on the first floor, yes.
Dave, I'll come and see you.
Hey, cheaper than owning. I mean, these days I did like a, you know, a rent to own analysis, and even if, you know, you try to buy anything in Stow, you're probably, I'd say 7, maybe, if you found something that needed work. That's a house, not a condominium. I mean, and you look at the math at what it costs to own that costs you $5,500, $6,000 a month.
Much under 800,000.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you find something at 7, you're doing really, really well. So, and you need $100,000 down.
You sound like the Redfin emails that I get about, based on our current analysis, your home is up 10,000%.
Just,
Well, I can tell you from the assessments, they're high. I mean, years ago, the whole idea.
Okay, so that's not a topic that we want to be talking about right
No,
now.
I'm just talking about, you know, the market.
no, everything
You
is.
should definitely blame Redfin.
There's no way, I'm telling you right now, there's no way, having seen how much my house allegedly went up for, you gotta be kidding me. Not in his life is it worth that much.
Yeah, but
The fact that Redfin says it means someone will think it.
it is what it is, as a famous coach used to say. So these days, it's just crazy how expensive everything is. I always remember there was a story, it was an early project I did, it was in Bolton, it's going back 20 years or so, 25 years ago. And the guy, he was an English guy. He's like, you know what? He says, I love America. You know, because we'll be in England, everybody will be around the pub, but things will get more expensive and they'll be bitching and moaning and rah, rah, rah. In America, I come over here and everybody says, yeah, it's expensive, you just gotta go out and make more money. It is the reality. Whether it's fair, I don't know, but it is the reality. So,
Anyway, all right. So we don't have anything else on the agenda until 7:15. I'm not gonna blame anyone for scheduling it that way. But before we, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, you are free to go. All right.
Nice job.
Thank you.
thank you.
But I want to revisit one issue now that Andy's here. So we received a bit of correspondence from Janet Wheeler. So we're also are somewhat agnostic, and there's like 6 different ways we can deal with this. But I didn't want to do anything without actually asking you, do you have any reason to believe that the person you spoke to, that anything is incorrect? And I'm not trying to challenge you, I'm honestly asking, like.
I was actually going to bring it up myself.
Okay.
Because first of all, I owe Janet Wheeler an apology.
Yeah.
I thought it was her.
Okay.
I definitely sure it was someone who was involved in the conversations we had. I'm not gonna even try to guess who it was.
That's fine.
So I
Yeah,
actually support her request.
okay.
And I'm willing to make the motion to delete her name and substitute a
Resident, pseudo name.
an
individual.
interested party.
It is the part, yeah. So that's
Approach
fine.
me. So
I'm just, my question is like, going back to the question of like, under the rules, can we even amend the minutes after they're accepted?
I think you can.
Boards can do it, but generally they don't entertain requests from the public.
I understand.
So that's what has been done in practice. the board is more than welcome to change it if that's what they would like to do, but you're not.
She might be the only one that's ever read it.
Coming from a board.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, it's up to the board to do what they want regarding it, so if you'd like to make a motion, I think
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I make a motion to, delete, her name from the, from the minutes and replace it with interested party.
Okay, these are the minutes from June 3rd?
Yeah.
I believe.
yes.
Okay. Go for a second.
It's easy to do it that way. So I'll second.
Okay. That was a very reluctant second, so be it. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Who's voting on this one?
We could also fix it.
The four voting.
I think just the four voting.
No, it's in the town all reuse committee.
Second.
Mike on second
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Well, yeah, frankly, I don't think we should do it, but I'll vote for it.
You can vote against it.
It would
Or
that's
you could abstain. I mean.
I could do that too, but it's just
Actually, I
in
mean,
practice, I don't
that's-
think we really should do it. If we want to annotate it and document it going forward, then do it that way, but don't go back and change the record.
But they'll vote for it.
So based on the new charter changes, it would be a majority of the present members. So for this, it would need to be 3 members in favor.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I'll abstain.
And we have 1 abstention. All right. Motion passes by a vote of 3 to 0 to 1.
And don't show it to us again.
All right. With that, unless there's any objection, we're gonna be in recess, but I'm gonna make up a word.
Yeah,
We'll be, there's no objection? Oh,
one other scheduling thing.
oh, actually, let's talk about the future schedule, if you don't mind, just to deal with it right now. So the ZBA meeting that's scheduled for September 19th, I believe should be canceled.
Yes.
Okay. And then what's on the agenda for the 7th?
That is a good question.
And does that include, masters?
So as of right now, there is nothing on the agenda for the 7th.
Okay.
We did get an application for Masters Academy seeking a variance from the lighting bylaw.
Yeah.
The planning board is gonna be reviewing the remainder of the application as well as the Conservation Commission. So this board will only be looking at the lighting.
Okay. Well, so will that be on the 7th?
And that will be on the 7th. I didn't know what the board was thinking in terms of Stow Acres, the upcoming public hearing today, to see if there will be a continuance of any sort to the 7th, so I have not yet assigned a time.
All right, I'm sort of inclined to put it on for, I'll put it first, make it 7:15.
Okay.
And then,
What's the first topic? The masters?
the Masters
For
Academy.
the 7:15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do the lighting.
Why are they coming to us?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's the issue?
It says a special permit from the planning board.
I can provide you the full description, but in summary,
Can you just give us the Reader's Digest version?
yes, the quick summary, the poles that the lighting would be on would have to be closer to the property lines than allowed. They would be slightly taller than allowed, and they would be putting out a higher lighting output than allowed. This is due to the changes in lighting technology,
Okay.
in that they can produce the needed amount of light in an area and contain it in a much better way than what was previously done, which was why the zoning bylaw was adopted in the way it was. So because of the difference in lighting technology, they're seeking a slightly different output.
So do you know if these are persistent lights, just occasional lights, or what the reason that the lighting needs to be in place?
These would be for athletic fields, so it'd be only when sport events are occurring.
I'm in a butter, so I'm not weighing in as a board member, but just as a
question, when we talk about athletic fields, is this gonna be like Fenway Park with these?
Well, I think we're gonna have to punt that discussion for when we do it, so.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Oh, no, yeah, no pun intended.
Let's stay-
Thank you, Maria, for that look. I had to make sure. All right, well, in any case, we'll review it 7:15 on October the 7th.
Because all lighting fixtures shall be set back 500 feet from any residential or recreational conservation lot, and 200 feet from any other lot.
And actually, I think what we'll do is, actually, so Lenny, you're in a butter, so you're out.
Yeah.
So Maria, one of us will drop, and then you could be on this one.
I'll drop.
Excellent, there you go, you'll take her spot. Okay, so, and then otherwise, we're set for the 4th, November 4th and December 9th.
Yes, there's nothing scheduled for those
Okay.
meetings at this time.
I think we did have an old, it was on me, I think it was an old issue about updating the rules with the appendix.
Yes.
We can revisit that over the winter.
Yeah, I thought, there's a few other items that were in the housing production plan that I sent over that the board would want to consider addressing.
Can we?
So we can have like a work session discussion at one of those meetings when permitting comes down.
That sounds good.
And there's one other application that will be coming in hopefully soon for a shed on Pine Point Road.
Awesome.
Pine Point Road.
And it's,
And a lot of sheds for those mansions.
I'm gonna put Joy somewhere.
it is contentious.
Okay.
The shed is contentious.
Dun, dun, dun. We'll just leave it like that. Will that be on the
It's a
7th also?
35-foot shed, is that okay? It's tall and skinny.
If they could get it in by, technically it's due today, but I usually give a 2 or 3 day buffer, so if they can get it in by,
Oh, was this an Apple Watch conversation?
if they could get it in by Thursday, it can be on the October agenda.
It's not Collins, is it?
No,
Okay. Anything
He
else?
doesn't need sheds, he needs.
and that is it for scheduling.
Okay.
So,
All right, with that, I'll declare, that, we're in recess until 7:15. So. Okay, the hour being approximately 7:15, depending on which of 7 o'clocks that we take a look at. We will now reopen the public hearing, for the special permit, application for 56 Harvard Road, continuing from August 5th.
So who's the voting member on this? Am I the voting member on this one?
You are,
Okay, just wanted.
correct?
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, you are the voting member.
Okay.
So since that time, we had a few folks do site visits. I know Andy and I were there this morning. Then, did anyone else did it?
Saturday. Right.
You were Saturday, right? Okay,
Fine, I know Jim was.
okay, all right. Any initial comments or thoughts from folks who did the site visits?
Nothing unusual. And certainly looking at the location of what I believe was the property line, it looks like it's well back from the property line. In the summertime, there's obviously a lot of leaves, as everyone noticed. What it looks like in the wintertime is an open question.
Sure.
But I mean, and, you know, the other question that for me, at least parking wise, that's not been answered yet is, you know, how many cars can it actually fit if they meet the dimension regulations for cars? So,
Oh, in the corral?
well, in the 3 areas that he pointed to us, which is corral and the lower area near the barn.
Right.
And then along the driveway.
The gravel
Yeah,
driveway.
so, because obviously there needs to be enough room for cars to maneuver in and out without crashing into each other, so that's right. So that, you know, I still would like to see something that's dimensioned properly so that we understand how many cars can actually fit in that area.
Understood. Any other just thoughts, comments from the site visits? Okay. We also received 2 documents. We received architectural plans for the barn. which I can say was being worked on today, during our site visit. Anything in particular, that you wanted to talk about in terms of the plans with respect to the barn?
No, nothing in particular. I mean, I feel like, the plans there are just for the architect and for the structural engineer, just to give you guys a better sense. It's essentially an open barn, so there's not much to talk about. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, just remind me, because when I was looking at it today, so, for the second floor, is there gonna be like a gap, like in the middle?
Yeah, so you can see, so the floor will be open in the middle, just because it'll be nice to have the high ceilings.
Okay, and then like some sort of small walkway, because there's only one staircase. I guess if you're facing the barn, it's in like the rear right.
Yes.
Okay, and so there's gonna be some sort of a walkway that'll take you from the right side to the left side?
Yeah, so, it'll be kind of like a horseshoe, but it's a square.
Okay.
So there'll be like a second floor like path that'll connect the two.
Okay.
And it'll just be like a balcony overlooking.
Okay, and then the plumbing that you have coming in, that's only gonna be accessible on the first floor, it's not gonna run to the second.
Right.
Okay. All right, any questions, comments from the plans?
Did you get the site plan from your,
So we have the architect plan, we have the structural engineering plan. I'm not sure what else you would need in regards. Like, I'm happy to give you any information you need, but I don't know what else you are.
we usually get a site plan drawing of all the lines and, where things are situated.
Is that different than I don't know, is that different than what you have for the architect plan?
Yes,
Okay,
not only the barn, it's the whole property.
but I like this, like survey?
Yeah.
Okay, I did get a survey done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do have a survey, I can send that over to you,
That'd be
no
great,
problem.
okay.
It looks like there was something done by hand in the application. It's basically that, but done formally.
Yeah, I have one that's like shows the property lines and everything, so like officially, yeah.
That'd be great, yeah, also because, and if it can be indicated on that as well, because I think the informal one that Maria's talking about sort of roughly showed where the parking is gonna be, so I think we want that on there, as well.
Also,
And the navigation.
dimensions for those areas, just, draw the box where they'd be and just length and width, just so we have that.
Sure, I believe I put those on the initial thing I have, I know it's not like an official thing, but those are the dimensions. I'm not planning on like doing any kind of exterior renovations to it, so it's not like I'm putting down like tar or like official parking lot or marking any lines. It's just gonna remain just
Right.
open space.
I mean, there's no dimensions there, you just mentioned how many cars you think could fit in there, but again.
Oh, well, that's my mistake, then I can definitely.
Yeah, it says, just, you mentioned 3 areas where there's gonna be parking in, so, obviously, wanna make sure that it's.
Yeah, good point.
That you can actually fit 38 cars in that one spot. Yeah.
I thought I put it in my initial plan.
Yeah.
So I can even email that, I can talk to Michael tomorrow, and I can get that, no problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, on the corral, where you have 38, one of the documents indicated you were approximately 38 parking spaces. I'm just kind of curious, how did you calculate that?
So I did it based off of, taking the average size of like a regulation, like parking space. And I had one of my students, I have quite a few students that are like various types of engineers and stuff, and I asked them how to calculate it, and they helped me do it, so.
Okay.
Assuming this is a two-way parking area, I mean, the town has the required dimensions in the bylaws.
Right, okay.
So if you got a 7.5.5 in the bylaws, you can see what that is.
Perfect.
Before moving on, any questions or comments about the architectural plans that we received about the barn, the construction associated with that?
Yeah, just in terms of the whole fire safety issue.
Sure.
And I know it depends on how many, patrons you're gonna have, but, well, I guess that's one question. How many patrons do you know, are you expecting now? I know you said the last hearing that, you know, it could be, you know, a smaller number or a larger number. I mean, do you have a set number at this point?
Yeah, so going into the previous meeting that we had, I was more so trying to show how much space I had, which is way more than I would ever need, as opposed to giving you what I intentionally planned. So to kind of give you guys a more accurate rundown of what we'd expect is the majority of our group, we're mainly private lessons to start. So we mainly have either one person coming or a couple coming. Normally a couple will drive in the one car. Sometimes they both come from different places at work. 99% of what we are doing with our business, we're already running. So if people are worried or anything, we're already running our whole business essentially. Our group classes, when we would have group classes, we typically expect 3 to 6 people. We typically cap it out at 10. Any more than 10 is, especially when you're doing certain dances, we like to have space. So we always cap our group classes out at 10. When we have social dance parties, we obviously haven't had any here because we don't have the space yet. But in our previous location, we had a typical party was usually no more than a typical someone having friends over at a barbecue, usually 10 to 15 people. 20 people would be considered a big party for us.
So you're not planning, you know, like have like something like 50 people, let's say, at any?
I wouldn't anticipate 50. That would be way bigger than I would expect. And I don't even know that fire code and safety and like the building aside.
That's my concern.
Whatever, like, I'm sure, Frank, once we have it, he would just tell me how many people I'm allowed to have in that. And I would go by that, of course. But I think 50 people without fully being in the developed space, I feel like would feel a little cramped in there for dancing.
Yeah,
I
was gonna say that too. I mean, looking at the space today, I
it's
mean,
not huge.
if it was 50 people hanging out, even with a second floor, I mean, that could be even a little tight. But if you're gonna be dancing, especially certain dances, like, I mean, it'd be like a pinball machine.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a little too much. And
I'm not familiar with swing dancing, so I don't know. But my concern was the number in terms of like fire safety, in terms of needing sprinkler systems. Needing another exit door, and a whole slew of new fire regulations come into play when you start having a large group of people.
yeah, it's even if we wanted to, it's not big enough to. You guys were there today and on Friday. It's not a huge barn. Yeah, you're welcome to come anytime. It's not a huge barn, so it's only so many people we could fit even if we wanted to.
What are your current hours of operation?
Right now, we are officially 1 to 10. Mainly Monday through Friday. We teach sometimes on Saturday afternoons, but officially we're Monday through Friday from 1 to 10. Usually we end earlier than that because honestly, I usually don't feel like teaching at 10 o'clock at night. We put that on there for the sake of availability, but usually we're done by 8 or 9 o'clock because we have a son and we want to go to bed too.
Your expectations of the hours remain the same?
Yeah.
Which barn?
Yeah. Nothing about our business is really going to change. We're doing 99% of what we're already doing. We're just gonna, once we get into the barn, we'd like to have a few group classes a week, which you're gonna have maybe 3 to 10 people, and most of those people are couples, so they're gonna be coming in the same car, and then having a few social dance parties.
I think that my baby shower was probably bigger than what we anticipated.
Yeah,
So,
so,
that was a little crazy. That was in our house, but.
yeah, that was in our house and that was cramped and that was definitely probably bigger.
Well, I don't think you need to be before the ZBA for baby. It's like a one-time.
Babies don't pay anyway.
Yeah. they're not gonna-
On the second floor there, are there any windows planned in?
No planned windows at this time. It's just gonna be more of like a, kind of like a, I don't know if you call it a balcony or a loft, but we're just gonna put like some tables and chairs up there. So we're essentially gonna have a dance floor on the first floor and then some tables and chairs so people can like relax and hang out. I thought it would be nice to kind of like sit and be able to like look over and see the people dancing.
Like the extra shoes.
So I don't know if you're against the windows, but one of the things I think when you say fire safety would be, I would think, especially if in the future, if there's any, there were gonna be a lot of people up there, just even windows that meet the egress
Right.
standards for, I mean, it's only on the second floor there.
Of course,
If
yeah.
something's on fire, you know, however.
Yeah, and I've been working with Frank, the building inspector, quite a bit. I've been coming to him a whole bunch of times since the winter. I've asked him to come out on site quite a few times just to like help me out, to let me know. So I've been working with him so he can let me know if like whatever code things, if I need to add a door or if I need to add a window, I'll obviously do what he says.
Yeah, the one thing, as we're talking about fire, the one thing I did notice is, have you contacted the fire department about this? Because the concern about the second floor is just you have one set of stairs, which I think the fire department would consider, I would think would consider a fire hazard for if you have people out there trying to get down in a fire. So they may not like the spiral staircase at all.
I can double check with them. They were the first people I
Yeah.
actually contacted the fire department
Yeah.
as the first people to kind of reach out to them to see if they had any issues. But it doesn't hurt to absolutely check with them again now that I'm a little further into the process to still.
Yeah, especially since you have a drawing that they can look at, they can then get a good sense as, okay, is this something we're comfortable with, or is there something that we need to do differently? They may be fine with that. I don't know. I'm not a fire expert here, so.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll double check with them just to be sure.
Other questions or comments right now?
Yeah, the only other thing that I would ask you to just comment on, so everyone could hear it, is the way you intend to light the area.
For the inside?
No, the outdoors and the inside, but more importantly, the outdoors.
Well, that was another question. Is there any existing, I know a lot of riding rings have lights. Is there any existing lighting?
I just put some like solar lights, 200 lumen. They're not very strong, but they're enough that you can like safely drive your car in.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, and I have a couple like, again, you guys saw them today. They're just 200 lumen solar lights to get you there. And then on the front of the barn, so it's on the side where my house is. So like it faces the back of my house, front of the barn. I have just 2 spotlights outside, and I have a pair of like Philips Hue smart lights in there. And I usually like to keep them. I don't like the big fluorescent kind of lights, so I usually keep them at like a red or a pink. Just they're a little easier on the eyes. I like. If I need to add more, obviously, if it ends up being like too dark, I'll be glad to add more. But it seems to be okay so far.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that during the site visits, we saw this with the solar powered lights he was talking about. It looks like they're largely like attached to fencing, if I remember correctly, around it. And then there's a few that lead from the back of the so if you've got Harvard Road, and you've got the corral, there were a few that seem to are like, I think they're staked in the ground, like almost like as if there's a path like to the barn. But not all the way. It only seemed like there were maybe like 2 or 3. Because there's a little decline like from the corral down to that area here. So I think it's just on that part of the path,
Slope.
presumably just to make sure no one kind of goes flying down the
Yeah,
slope there.
just enough to make sure people can find their way and not be like totally in the dark.
And I think on the outside, yeah, I can agree with it. There's two exterior bulbs. Looks like they largely face the house or the street, sort of generally in like that direction. And I didn't see anything else on the outside, on the two side walls or at the back. That looked all dark as well. But anyway, I'm sorry, anything different. Speak up.
And if you want to do like an official visit too, I didn't even know you came by. Glad to have you over.
Yeah, it's got around a little.
So,
Yeah, but if you got both of you want to like come by, we can schedule that, no problem.
yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Restroom, what are your plans for the restroom?
So the restrooms, connected to the barn, like on the back side is 5 horse stalls. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a door on the inside the barn on the back right. We're going to put a door there into that horse stall. And then we're going to make that horse stall 2 half bathrooms. And I double checked with, so our septic tank is brand new. It was put in November. So I contacted the company Curtis Septic who installed it to ask them what I would need to do there. And he said our tank is plenty big enough to add 2 or 3 bathrooms. The only thing is depending on how things are, we may need to slightly expand the leach field, but the tank is big enough. And I spoke to the gentleman that I believe the Board of Health, not the building inspector, plumbing inspector, sorry. I talked to Adam too, he was actually there today when we guys did the visit. But another gentleman, the Board of Health, I think it is, and he said that he has to, I just talked to him the other day, he said he has to get back to me. He said it is either fine the way it is, or he confirmed it's either fine the way it is, or we'll have to expand the leach field slightly. And then I spoke to the engineer who did the plan. He's a gentleman from out of Berlin. And then he said that he can tweak the plan slightly that we already have. He can tweak it slightly to find the best way to expand the leach field, if need be. And then we also were actually today looking into potentially installing, one of my students is a civic engineer and has her PE. And she said that she would recommend looking into incinerator toilets, which they are a permissible type of toilet that wouldn't need to be wouldn't need to be tied into the septic. It would just need to, I believe it, under the health code, is it 1? I can get it. It's yeah, I think it's section 140 or no, 410.120 that lists the incinerator toilet as a permissible use type of toilet. In which case we would just use that, and then the building inspector Adam, who came by today, came up with a general plan of just putting in sinks. So he would like put in the sinks there.
And no exterior, like audio or visual.
Right.
Fire extinguishers.
No, we fully plan to do everything in the barn. Anything outdoors is mainly the same thing as if people were just having a barbecue. But we're working really hard to get this space up and built so that we can use it, not do it outside.
Right. Any other questions or comments from folks?
The music you said would be from a, kind of like a boom box, no orchestra or band or anything like that?
No, we have a Bose speaker, has 85 decibels. We
Piano.
Yeah, well, we have she's a very good piano player. She used to play in a conservatory. She's phenomenal. We have a piano in our living room, which is great, but you can't even hear her playing when you're on the deck. And even right now, we have the bonus room of the house, the back room that you guys saw. That's the room that we're teaching out of now, our private lessons. If you put it on full volume and then open the slider door, get on the deck and shut it, you can't even hear it.
Okay, so, I think we said we still need a site plan, right? Lenny, you may wanna, okay, and Maria, certainly, if you wanna go on rather than just sort of peer, you know?
Yeah, I'll talk about something else if it's already happening, but otherwise, if I'm not.
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't, yeah.
And we work from home, so you can come by anytime.
Yeah.
We're there. You can even come dance with us.
I also missed the
Yeah.
first one, so for the forwarding of that.
Yeah, no, but it's important for you to say though. So if you can just coordinate through Michael, just to sort of close that loop, that'd be great. So, a site plan from you guys.
Sounds good. Just because I don't know enough about the cycle, would the survey be enough of what you're looking for, as well as getting the dimensions for those spots?
It has all the buildings on the survey plan and everything. It gives you the plot, shows you where all the buildings are, it shows you dimensions, how far they are from the property lines, where your roads are. Gives a fairly detailed of the layout of your property.
Your typical
Precise.
survey.
Okay, yeah, I got a typical survey.
So my suggestion is if you already have it,
Mhm.
like, I would, not to dump this on you, Michael, but I would send it to Michael, and then if for some reason Michael deems it inadequate, he'll let you know.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I said I was gonna get, I'm still waiting for him to give me I went to go send it actually to Michael the other day, when I came to talk to him, and it occurred to me that I don't know that he ever sent me the physical survey. He came to the survey, said, nice, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the plan.
Yeah, so, yeah, no,
So-
send it to him, and if for some reason there's something that's missing or whatever, my understanding is usually you can typically go back to those guys and say, hey, you need to add this or whatever, if something's missing.
Yeah.
So we can get that, and also we can have the dimensions,
Yeah.
get the dimensions of the corral.
Yeah, corral and the other area next to the barn where you plan to park people.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that'll be your primary parking area.
Well, the corral, I
The
think,
corral would be the primary. area.
Primary, yeah. The
corral's
corral,
the primary.
Okay, I misunderstood when we were talking, it sounded like that you were thinking the area next to the barn would be the primary.
not necessarily the primary, but if we have some, like, for example, we have
Talking about
a,
elderly or.
yeah, like we have
for
a couple
accessibility
that
issues.
have been dancing with us for 5 years,
Yeah.
and he's now in his 80s, and he's done every show and competition we ever do. But I'm thinking maybe he wants to park next to the barn as opposed to up there, and I'm gonna let him.
You have a lot of parking places, but your sizes are 1 to 4 people for private lessons, group classes of 3 to 6, up to 10 people. You're only talking about, even the social dancing party, you're talking about maybe 15 people, 20 at most. You're only talking about 5 cars, 6 cars.
Right.
You're not talking about a lot of cars.
Even if we get crazy here, we say we have 25 people, and most of them are couples, we're talking 12 cars.
Yeah, so you have more than adequate parking.
Yeah.
Whether they use the riding rink or down by the barn, it's
Right,
no big deal.
exactly.
And your septic system will probably have to be enlarged. You probably
Yes.
have a standard size tank of 2,000 gallons or 1,500 gallons.
Our tank is actually big enough to expand, they said.
Right,
It'll just be the leach field that needs to be
That's right.
expanded.
so,
And then
sounds
as
like-
far as water, we're just gonna get the jugs, like one of those things that have a jug on it in case you're water.
Oh, it's like a bubbler.
Yeah, like the bubbler thing that you replace the.
Okay.
And you don't want a public water supply, that's for sure.
No, I don't wanna go that route.
That's expensive.
Yeah, it's easier just to get the Poland Springs, just put it on there.
Okay, so, site visit, dimensions the corral, and arranging time for at least Lenny, and obviously if Maria wants to attend as well, for both of them.
And if you wanna dance, you guys let me know.
We're going to do it again.
Yeah, you can do it together, perfect.
So, are there any other outstanding questions or requests, that is from the board?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right. I wasn't gonna do this, but because you're here. I'll allow public comment, briefly.
Yep.
Everyone gets one shot, only because this is gonna have to be continued to another day anyways. So if there's something that we've discussed, my request would be, if there's something that we've discussed tonight, or there's something that you feel like we've missed, that would be of assistance, then please do. Also, as a quick reminder, please state your name and your address before you speak. And to the applicant, certainly you're allowed to respond if you'd like. If you respectfully decline from responding, you don't have to. All comments or questions should be directed to the board. And we'll go from there. So,
Just one comment before public comment.
sorry.
I would just like to remind everyone in person and on Zoom that this is the Zoning Board of Appeals. We do not deal with the Board of Health, the Conservation Commission, or any other department board. So if the questions and comments can be about the Zoning Board of Appeals, that would be the best use of everyone's time. Questions regarding other boards and committees and commissions, departments can be addressed to those respective committees, boards, departments, commissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
However, our decision will specify that the Board of Health has to be involved and
Of course, yeah.
Right. And all good now.
Talked to all, I've been in contact with all of them already.
but we'll have, they need, whatever the building inspector, when he sees the decision, he'll make sure you have something from the Board of Health to satisfy.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. All right, with that, any comments from members of the public who are here tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Warren Crawford, 34 Harvard Road. I'm one of the immediate abutters. So shit. The two topics
Actually,
that,
I'm actually gonna cut you off before you continue, just for my own edification. If I'm standing on Harvard Road and I'm looking at their house, you're gonna be to the left.
yes,
Okay, thank you. Not very- Just wanted to reorient myself.
yeah, I'm the one that's set far back.
All the way in the back, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the two topics that you did bring up was lighting. All of their current lighting is uplighting. It is not full cutoff. So it does glow the whole neighborhood. And there is the lighting that he mentioned walking down towards the back, towards the barn. It shines directly at my property because it is not full cutoff. The other is the septic system. The health agent had, when this application was first submitted and it was reached out to all the different departments, he stated that they could not hook up to the current septic system, that the current septic system is only qualified for the 3-bedroom house, and that they would need to put a new septic system in if they wanted to put bathrooms into the barn. So that information is already in your packet for the health agent.
Correct. Thank you. Anyone else from members who are in the room tonight?
I'm Sarah Klein. I live at 64 Harvard Road, so I'm the abutter to
the other side.
On the right.
Right.
Which is kind of up higher a little bit, am I right? No?
Not really.
Maybe not. Okay, never mind. But
There is another house that sits way back that you can't see.
Oh, okay.
But so I'm curious, I think Andrew mentioned about the property line. You didn't specify which property line that you were a little bit concerned with this site visit, because I believe our property line is very close to the barn. It's within 25 feet.
Well, I was looking towards 117, that sort of direction, so
So
on that side.
yeah.
So the barn itself, there is a stone wall, and I'd be curious about with the surveyor, like where do we fall on this, on the perimeter of that? Because again, the barn and the building that we hear, it's not much space from our property line. 25 feet is
And that's why
not very far.
that's why we were asking for a site plan, so that we have the dimensions as to where the property lines are.
Yeah. I'm, trying to look at all the raw, my husband unfortunately is in Chicago in a work meeting. So he's the one who started looking at all the rules and regulations about the lines and the zoning, about how close things can be, but it is very close to our property line. That, and the concern is the noise level. And I understand it's, maybe 10 to 25 people, but I think this, from what we read in the newspaper, is a very large article before about the expansion that they're considering. Not just dance parties, but renting it out for wedding venues. And so my concern is that this is starting small and this is going to get bigger and bigger. And, we're living in a residential area, not a commercial area. And it's just very concerning that this is happening in a quiet neighborhood. The potential for big wedding venues and dance parties.
One thing to point out is the distance between the barn and your property line is grandfathered now. It doesn't necessarily meet present bylaw requirements, but that's the way it is.
So nobody, if I was building something new, it wouldn't happen today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll just call, do you have a comment? You're the only one else here, so I figured I would ask. If you don't, that's okay. Don't feel pressured.
My name is Rosa Anthony. I'm at 35 Harvard Road. I am across the street and about half a house down.
Okay.
Back towards 117. I have a 7-year-old and who sleeps very lightly, and I have had no issues with noise, except for your rooster in the morning, but that's a separate issue. I have had no issues with noise at night. I sleep fairly lightly, particularly with regard to light. When I first moved to Stow, I in fact was woken up by the moon coming in my window. I've had no issues with light. I think this is great. I think this is going to be a good addition to the tax base of the town. I think this is going to be a good addition to the culture of the town. I think this is exciting. I hope to take lessons.
Thank you. Is there anyone on Zoom who has a comment? There's one.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you?
Peter Klein here. My wife is there in the room. Something that, I'm at 64 Harvard. One thing that hasn't been addressed is the original application talked about outdoor music. And it hasn't been discussed, but to me it makes sense that the music should be inside the barn and not outside the barn.
And then this person,
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Sorry, this person, Pat, had their hand raised, so I was gonna call on them first.
Okay.
Pat.
Hi. My name is Trish Crawford, 34 Harvard Road. So to Rose's point about the tax base, there's no increase in the tax base based on activity. Just so you know, I checked with the assessor's office. So this doesn't increase the tax base unless there's $7,500 worth of equipment, which this is not. I also want to talk to lighting because we had 3 weeks where we had the barn spotlight shining in my bedroom for 3 weeks, and we prefer that not happening along with the uplighting right now. The bathroom should be ADA compliant, just as parking must be, and I think that's it for right now, but I'll put more in writing.
Great, thank you very much. And I would encourage anyone who's on Zoom or in the room that to the extent there are any questions or comments that you'd like, as we're going to be continuing this, feel free to please email the information. I always encourage people to do so because this way we will be able to actually read and review it ahead of time, which can then influence questions or comments that you might have. Anyone else on Zoom? All right, then. I'll give the applicant, by the way, an opportunity. If you want to respond to anything that's been said, if not, that's okay.
Sure, I'd be glad to respond. I guess I'll start with, I don't want to press too much on any kind of lighting issues. You guys have seen the small lights, the small solar lights that are out there. These are not specific or relevant to my business at all. These are just lights that I have on my property, regardless if I had a dance studio or not. If there were any specific concerns from like a neighbor standpoint, if you came to me and be like, hey, there is a light that's bothering me, like this specific light, do you mind if you you move it or something, like I would talk neighbor to neighbor. It doesn't really have any relevance to the zoning board, you guys in any sense, but as a neighbor, if there's something, you can come to me, of course. I do want to be a good neighbor. This is my house first. I do have a son who's 4 and my wife is now 9 months pregnant. We're planning on growing our family here. This is just our house, and it's as simple as we're finishing our barn to have some dance lessons that we're already doing. We're already doing most of everything that we're planning on at this point. In regards to anything regarding with the septic or the Board of Health, I think we can kind of leave that out of these conversations, as it kind of goes without saying that whatever we do, we're going to double check and make sure the building is up to code in regards to the building inspector. If we put any bathrooms in, it's going to be up to code with the Board of Health. The conservation has nothing to do with our business or the zoning. If the town and those inspectors want us to do something, add a window, do something, we'll absolutely do that. That is not any kind of issue. Commenting on the survey of where the property line is. The surveyor said that our line is true to that. Like the rods are directly in the stone wall. So that stone wall is true to the line between us. And again, of course, I don't want to like encroach or do anything on yours and comment to your husband about the outdoor music. It is our full intent to have this music inside. We're working really hard to build the barn so that we can dance in it. I don't really sound like I have a dance floor outside. I have it inside. The reason why I brought it up in our first meeting was not because I planned to have all this outdoor stuff. I wanted to, more so I was just trying to show that even if the music was outdoors, it's only going to travel so far, but it's going to be indoors. And if there's any kind of, like you're worried about, who we are and what we're trying to build, come talk to us, come talk to us, come dance with us, we'll show you what we're all about. We're a family first, just moving to Stow, trying to, dance enough where we can raise our family here. We're not a big corporation trying to be big. The barn's not big enough to have these huge events, even if we wanted to. You guys are going to it. It's a small barn, so there's only so big we can have an event anyway. And yeah, I think that's everything. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, if you like your site visit to be right now, the lights are on. Don't forget your sunglasses.
Anybody can come back, yeah, of course.
All right, thank you so much. Before I entertain a motion, anything else from members of the board? No? Okay. I'll entertain a so those items that we talked about should get submitted preferably as soon as possible.
Survey, measurements, they're gonna come down to us.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'll entertain a motion now to continue the hearing to October the 7th. And at which time, assuming that we get those materials and nothing else new comes to light, the expectation is that the hearing will most likely be closed at that time, and we'll be able to reach a decision. All the more reason to the extent that members of the public have comments or questions, if they have, if they can get those to us ahead of time, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sounds great.
Yes. All right.
Can I ask one question?
Of course.
It's just for me missing the first part. What makes this come to us for the variance? What is the kind of initiator to them talking to us?
Go for it.
So we already have a right to run our dance studio out of our house. So that much we're already doing, we're already running our business. The main point of coming to the zoning board is so we can have those group classes and those social parties.
And then I guess I've got zoning questions a bit on farm kind of versus residential. Where does that fall? Or is there, so like, for instance, we live on a farm. So when I think of what a farm, what you need,
Yeah.
you know, it involves lighting and these different things.
I think you've actually got to be used as a farm, you know, as opposed to having bought a farm and then wanting to use it as something else. How big is it? Yeah, and some, keep me honest.
There's if you have 5 acres or more as a farm, you can almost do anything you want to.
Okay, so it's the 5 acre thing, okay.
There actually is a reference in terms of special permits for dance studios, actually in the zoning bylaws.
Okay.
So, that's also, kind of where this applies, and not the fact that, you
And,
know, they work in the barn.
And an interesting thing with that is you actually, according to the bylaws, when I was talking to Frank, you actually can't have a dance studio in a commercially zoned area in Stow. You can only have a dance studio in a residentially zoned area.
I brought up that to.
Yeah, which I thought is just like a funny.
Valerie. She's gonna-
Yeah.
It's the way it is, and she's gonna change it. I mean, the town meeting has to change it.
Yeah. All good questions. All right, with that, unless there's anything else?
I would just say if you could provide kind of that summary of your kind of business plan of classes, group sizes in writing, that would be helpful to the board as well.
Sure. And we, I guess one other thing I could quickly say, I don't mean to keep everybody.
No.
But as far as like really scaling up our business and stuff, we're not a new business, we're almost 8 years old. And I don't anticipate getting so much bigger in my year 8, year 9, you know.
Okay.
There's only so many lessons we can teach. Especially if she's gonna have her hands full pretty soon.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we continue the hearing till October 7th at, we have this time certain,
I'll say 7:45.
7:45.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, with that, the hearing is continued until October the 7th at 7:45.
Sounds good, thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Adam. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I think that's all we've got on the agenda, unless anyone else has anything.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting at 8 o'clock. I mean, it's 3, whatever that says.
All right.
So that could be a good time. For a site visit. I mean,
Yeah,
since we're
come on over.
You'll see the
Yeah,
lights.
you can see the lights, it'll be great.
Give them a dance lesson.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys.
I need a car.
The public hearing is closed, the public hearing is closed.
All right, I got a motion, I got a second. All in favor of any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adjourning the hearing at 8 o'clock. The meeting, 8 o'clock. Motion passes. Thank you.